All right. This is the video that you've all been subconsciously clamoring for. It
Wait, really?
is the ENFJ and ENFP best friend interaction video. And you're in for a treat. I'm here with my best friend, Crystal.
Hey,
Hi.
that's me.
Would you like to introduce yourself to my viewers?
Um, yeah, sure. I'm Crystal. I live in Portland right now. I went to school with Megan. We're both journalism majors at Mizzou. And yeah, I'm 22. I like anime and ramen and Nickelback. I don't know how to introduce myself, to be honest.
That did
But
the
yeah,
trick.
I'm also an ENFP, and Megan is responsible for getting me into it about 3 years ago now. And
Into Myers-Briggs.
yes, Myers.
And Crystal, I just wanted to let you know that you've heard of best friend tags on YouTube. You've heard of Myers-Briggs tags on YouTube, but have you heard of the Myers-Briggs best friend tag? Well,
No, I'm not. Is that a thing?
no, but if you're watching this, tag you're it, because I came up with one.
Nice.
So,
Myers from Briggs best friends. Oh, wow.
so this video is going to be fun because I have some questions. And similar to if you've seen like a best friend tag or like a boyfriend tag or whatever, like the questions are like, you have to answer like about each other. Like I will ask a question and you will have to answer like about me, and like I'll have to answer about you. But like some of the questions are about Myers-Briggs, but really for people watching this, like I didn't want to just do a typical like, here's the difference between ENFJ and ENFP, and they're different. Like I wanted to like show you and not tell you. And hopefully if you watch this video, it might be a little bit on the longer side, but if you watch this video, hopefully you can really see the differences between ENFJ and an ENFP, because Crystal, would you agree that these types are quite different?
Yes. In fact, we are deceptively similar, but we're actually so different. So different.
Yeah. So, are you nervous? Are you scared? How are you feeling, Crystal?
Well, I'm glad this isn't, what is your best friend's favorite color? Because I actually don't think I'd be able to answer that kind of
okay, like there were so many questions in the best friends tag that were like written by censors, no offense, because like I don't know your favorite color. I don't know your favorite food.
Okay,
like
good. I was afraid that you
I
might
know
know.
like your hopes and dreams, you know, like.
Yeah, because like you'll be like, oh, you'd look good in that, which makes me think you would kind of be able to know what my favorite color is, but I don't know that shit. I could say like, oh, I can explain to you how she'd react in any given situation, but if you want me to like say like, oh, what was the last musical she starred in? I don't know. Like it's just like so intimidating to think about.
Okay, so the first question is, how and when did you two meet? Crystal, take it away.
So yeah, I was sitting at Noodles and Company in Columbia, Missouri, with my close friends at the time, Marissa and Danny. And
you're so specific.
What?
You're so specific.
I can replay it like it was yesterday, or at least like a few months ago. And so this was I think maybe April 2014. And yeah, this girl comes in, she's like crying, she has her hair in either a ponytail or like a headband or just a headband.
It was definitely a pony. I was stressing out.
Yeah, she had her hair pulled back, which she does now too when she's stressed out. And she was like crying, and she just like came in, saw Marissa and Danny, who she knew, saw me, who she didn't know, decided whatever, I don't care that girl's there.
Yeah, I was having a mental breakdown, and I tried to talk to my friends, and I was almost too nervous to break down in front of Crystal because I didn't know her. But then I decided, what the hell? I'm already desperate. I'm just gonna try and get some emotional support.
Yeah. So this girl's ENFP boyfriend, who at the time was the most important ENFP in her life.
I will explain that part. Is basically like I was not in the most healthy relationship with an ENFP. It was pretty codependent, and I mean he was very depressed, and sort of the dynamic was that I kept trying to give and help him, and I felt taken for granted and like that he wasn't changing or improving himself, which is something that's important to me. And
But he
so
thought he
we like
was.
fought all the time. It was crazy. I mean, because he would always say I'm sorry, but then never actually change his actions. Yeah, and so that's something that bugs me about people in general. But anyway, so I was having a breakdown and I met Crystal, and then what, you like gave me a hug or something?
No, okay, it was more intentional than that. It was like you were crying, and I felt like Marissa and Danny felt kind of awkward. I don't know. I didn't know anything about the situation. I didn't even know this girl's name, but I was like you were like talking about what had happened, because ENFJs have this way of being able to describe what went down, like in the emotional sense, like the TI progression. I don't tell stories like that. That's why everyone's always confused when they ask me what happened. I'll like go to tangents like now. But Meghan, on the other hand, outlined very clearly to me that her boyfriend was being really unfair and being really avoidant, and he was at work and he had not been like answering her calls, and then she was freaking out because they also were supposed to go to some kind of social event at her sorority. And whatever, and I was just like, oh my god, if I were you, I would be so upset right now. But I was like, look, it's okay, girl. I did my little
I'm
ENFP.
just like cringing at how like terrible of a person I was then. Anyway, for those of you thinking that I was not an ENFJ, like Exhibit A, this was me 2 years ago. Crying to a stranger.
We needed to go to sorority event. Like, yeah.
Crying to a stranger because my boyfriend didn't text me back.
How you weren't crying to me. You were like crying in front of me, and I decided to take the situation into my very capable, I believe, hands. So it's very different. Anyways, so I put an arm around Meghan, and looking back, she probably was cringing, and I could probably subconsciously pick it up, but I was like, no, in the name of justice, I must comfort this poor creature, blah, 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 in my head, which is what I was doing.
And I was like, don't pity me, bitch.
Probably like inside your tea, I was thinking that, but I wasn't pity, or I was like trying to relate. I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be okay. I totally get that. Explains something about what Caesar must be thinking, blah, blah, blah. And then Danny and Marissa are just kind of across from us, looking awkward, as they always do. But I mean, they're nice too, but whatever. So yeah, I was just basically trying to be like, dude, like, he cares about you. Like, try to stay calm. If you see him come out from behind, and then
we don't need to get that specific. We just need to talk about the first. We just need to talk about the first impression. We don't need to do the whole play-by-play. Well, we're not going to get done.
How Meghan reacted. She didn't react like, get away from me, bitch, as I kept talking, because then I felt comfortable enough to friend her on Facebook after. So it was like
your first impression. You just told me what happened.
Oh, sorry. Well, it's important. My first impression was, oh, like, girl in distress. I didn't really have like an impression of your personality at the time, because I was more like, wow, this is a situation that anyone would be like freaking out in. I could tell you weren't like one of those like, I guess, ETJ kind of girls, you know, like I could tell what you weren't subconsciously, and I also didn't know Myers-Briggs yet, but like I wasn't like, oh my god, she's so emotional. I was more like, oh, girl who loves her boyfriend, is in a tricky situation and isn't pretending to not care or something. And she also is like, you know, she's a friend of my friends, which means she must be somewhat of a quality person if they're friends. So yeah. I would probably see her in the future. So then I friended you, and I was like, whatever, I don't care.
My first impression of Crystal was extremely sweet, a little bit naive, potentially ditzy, not quite sure. Wondered why she was helping me when she didn't know me.
That's all from like the very first like face-to-face thing. You could tell maybe ditzy, maybe naive. That's interesting.
Yeah, because
what a J.
And I mean, I was just like felt embarrassed that I was weak in front of you, and that was the first time I met you, because I really don't like, because first impressions are important, and I don't like that being my first impression, like, but anyway.
I mean, like, the TE is that if anyone was in that situation, anyone would be freaking out. So it's like,
I just realized my bad SI. I have to apologize. I actually did ask, how and when did you meet? I didn't ask the first impression. So you did answer the question correctly. First impression, that was the second question on my list. And so I may have gotten ahead of myself with my NI. And I am sorry for shaming you for answering the question properly. Okay.
Well, see, my SI, which isn't that good either, but still conscious, didn't realize you had literally said that. So yeah.
I don't know what I said. I forget. Like, as I always say, that was seconds ago.
We moved on since.
I'm a different person.
Yeah, wait. Okay, but like my second impression of you was much more important than my first.
Tell me your second impression.
Because, okay, well, like the TE was you were in distress, but anyone would be. So I withheld having a judgment, which maybe a TI user could do faster. But I was like, oh, you are a person who's worthy of becoming my Facebook friend. So I friended you, and you didn't say no. So I was like, okay. You know, then what happened was we went further back in time to December 2013, when I remembered this guy from your high school named Jordan had shared a blog post of mine that you had either liked and also shared, or maybe just liked. Either way, I was like, oh, she has a cool name because like the third letter is like capitalized. So I remember that.
Is this like an ENFP thing to have such specific impressions?
Or specific archived memories? Yeah, I guess. I'm like, I remember the first time we met. Everyone else is like, you do? But yeah, I was like, oh, well, this girl liked my content, which was kind of vulnerable. Therefore, she must be someone who enjoys quality content such as mine, which subconsciously means I will friend her and try to befriend her.
What was your second impression?
My second impression of you was, dude, I just remember my impression, but now it's switched where I don't remember where we were, what we were doing.
Well, I remember my second impression of you was you posted something about your Myers-Briggs type, and then I was like, oh, I'm an ENFJ. And you were like, oh, I want to learn about it. And my first thought was, yeah, right. Everyone always says they want to learn about it, but they actually don't. And I was just sort of like, don't get me started. If you actually want to get me started, go ahead. And then
it was probably over the internet, yeah.
And then you kept asking me questions because she had a crush on an ISTJ, and she'd be like, "What does it mean? He looked at me, and was like asking me all these questions."
Okay, no, that's like the third impression. The second impression was in the summer. I invited you to go swimming randomly. This is before I liked that ISTJ, and then
I
we were like,
have an impression of you at the time. I just thought you were a person, like a person. But anyway, literally just my second impression of Crystal is that she's extremely curious, extremely intense, extremely friendly and personable, like kind of like a lot to handle. Like she's like a Tasmanian devil, like a volcano about to erupt, of curiosity and intelligence. Like she could just never get enough of learning things, and she asks a bunch of questions. And my second impression was just like, oh gosh, this girl texts back really quickly. Like she's just really like very quick-witted. Anyway.
Yeah, it was like, well, I remember I forced you to go swimming with me, and then I interrogated you about your relationship.
And I didn't feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, I could tell, but that's what made me interrogate you more. I don't know why. But then, like, I was trying to, like, hook up with this friend of a friend of yours, and then we went to some party.
Oh, I remember when we went swimming, like, I remember my swimsuit top accidentally came off, and there were, like, boys there, and I was so embarrassed. And then you were asking me about my relationship, and I was just like, oh my god, like, I think I must have just not felt comfortable around you, because, like, I met you when I was crying, we hung out, and my swimsuit top fell off. Like, I don't know, you just, like, attract, like, weirdness.
No, Megan is... So for all the lovely viewers, Megan is not the first person who's always like, just weird shit happens to me when you're around. And I'm like, and then like, I was like, it's not really because of me, right? And I'm like, well, I guess weird shit happens to me a lot. So everyone else is unfortunately stuck in my orbit. So
she's a Scorpio rising, okay?
Oh my god, I was really about to say that. Yeah, I was Scorpio rising. So like everyone around me just gets in deep shit when I'm around.
Okay,
but yeah.
Crystal, and I'm going to let you finish this question, and we're going to get more into rapid fire questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I feel like I have to take the viewers on a journey towards how we actually became friends, because at this point you think I'm this kind of intense.
I'll let you go on the journey.
Well, anyways, so at some point I decided that my goal of trying to like psychoanalyze my crush using Myers-Briggs was more important than whether Megan thought I was creepy or not, because I don't care. So yeah, there were like various rendezvous around the journalism school and campus where I would like corner her and be like, so I thought about this today. Can you explain? Blah, blah, blah. there was one time we were at the speaker circle in the middle, and she had like Chipotle, and we were sitting on the wall, and I was just like blah 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 NETE. This guy, oh my god, blah blah.
Oh,
and then
she was doing this thing where she was like, I can't believe that I'm 19 and I've never dated anyone seriously. And I was like, girl, that was also me. You're not alone. And then she's doing that ENFP thing where she's like, I think I'm the only one who's ever had this issue of not finding true love by age 18. And I was like, no, I relate to you. I can name 10 people that relate to you. And then she's like, isn't listening to me. Okay, this is like an ENFP thing where it's like not listening to you or your logic because like in her mind, she feels like she's the only one and like can't interact with like,
yeah, you really can't keep thinking. It's like, here, let me provide all the counterexamples. Well, I still feel that way, so bye. Like, but then I'll entertain for like 1 second. But then she said something like, well, you see, you are an ENFP, he's an ISTJ, so you're like a perfect match because you're like reverse. And I'm like, maybe that's why he told me he loved me once. And then, yeah, it was a not my best time, to be honest. I was really immature. And then at some point, I started
like this girl, what she did is he approached her and like asked her out when they first met, and then she friend zoned him for months and then wondered why he got over it. Any ISTJs in the audience want to comment on why that might have been? Because ISTJs don't want to be like
habit of friend zoning people on accident.
Yeah,
I'm scared that they don't like me, which is what I did there. Like
ISTJs don't want to be sent on an emotional roller coaster like that,
which unfortunately is what happened to this person. And like liking me is always an emotional roller coaster, but I don't think it is. So then I'm like, why is this happening to me? When I totally know why it's happening to me, but like I'm pretending to not know.
Okay, I think we're gonna move on from the journey because I have so many questions that we're gonna be able to fill in the journey as we go.
Yeah, well, if you really want to know the rest of the story, I can write it down in textual form. Just comment below, guys.
Yeah, she's a much better writer than she is speaker.
Yeah, if you've seen my videos, I am so awkward in front of a camera.
No, you're not. You're fine. Okay, describe each other in one word.
Passionate.
Oh, I was going to say creative for you.
Oh.
Okay, how does your friend fit the stereotype of their Myers-Briggs type?
Oh, God. Also, wait, did you come up with these questions yourself, or did you just...
I took some from BFF tags and some from Myers-Briggs, but I kind of shaped them to make more sense to what we're doing.
Oh my god. Okay, who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. Crystal fits the stereotype of an ENFP because she has really big dreams that she sometimes has trouble putting into practice and actually taking tangible steps toward her dreams. And she also is very good at puns. Just has a really warm heart and is good at putting herself in the shoes of other people. She's also a total like whistleblower when it comes to like politics and things like that. She's the one that's like not afraid of what people think and will just be like, hold up, this is not right. Okay? This is immoral. And really, really in tune with her emotions of what she wants. Also stereotypically can seem a little bit lazy, a little bit selfish from my view. I know that you're not. We've talked about this in depth. But a little bit scatterbrained, a little bit living in a dream world. You can fit that stereotype for sure.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, like, so ENFJs, I think, have this, like, preachy, vision-driven ideal of how people should act or how a society should function, and Meghan definitely has that. She sees very clearly how things should be done, you know, and, like, she like, can kind of, like, critique the emotional actions of people, like, kind of, like, explaining, oh, like, that was rude, or, oh, like, that wasn't. I guess, like, I think a lot of ENFJs are also really, they like to poke fun of people that they, like, really care about, and I definitely feel like you do that, like, with, like, oh, it's because you're blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know, it's, like, clever, introverted thinking. can seem naggy just from my perspective as an ENFP who also has like EFJ family members. It's kind of like, oh, like, why did you do that? Like, I actually want to know, but I'll be like, oh, you're attacking me or something. So yeah.
Do I seem clingy?
Yes. Can come off clingy, but explains herself better than a lot of EFJs I think it's due to introverted thinking, because I also think TPs are clingy too, but like they hide it better. Ugh. Anyway, what else? Yeah, like really, I guess also like going to how J's seem organized no matter what the fuck they're doing, even if they're like, oh, I'm so disorganized. It's like not true. Like very like, this is my routine for how I do things, and you're gonna have to convince my TI of a better way. Like I guess I think that ENFJs can be argumentative if they really strongly believe in something. Like not just her, but like other ENFJs I know, if I talk to them about something they are very knowledgeable about, they'll give very structured and sophisticated arguments that honestly are even better than what a lot of thinkers have. But like, it takes a while for them to have the courage to say that, because they're like, who the fuck cares about my opinion unless you're actually someone who wants to hear it. Very perceptive about other people, like being able to read like what this person's motives are or what they care about. Doesn't get confused by the things I get confused about, such as is this person like attracted to me? Like usually FE can like not have the FI kind of feel like I do, where I'm like, they don't like me because I'm scared they don't. FE is like, I'm not scared of like things. Yeah, Megan.
Yeah, another thing about you I want to say too is that ENFPs stereotypically, like from my view of them, have far more potential, far more creative potential than they realize. And I think that's definitely true about you. I feel like you're like a creative genius that could do anything that you applied yourself to, and makes me jealous of you. But
oh yeah, I think ENFJs are like can speak rousingly if they know what they're talking about. Like doesn't bullshit, doesn't attempt to bullshit, doesn't ever lie, truly very genuine and honest. Like most ENFJs, they can't really like say something they don't FE believe, because their face just kind of gives it away through FE and SE. Like I don't feel tricked unless it's like I know that my perception's tricking me, but like the person themselves, it doesn't seem like a tricky person. The person being you, that is.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah,
so,
like,
and I know since you're an NE user, you like to look at the opposite. So the other question is, how is your friend different than the stereotype of their Myers-Briggs type?
Oh, okay. One last thing I wanted to say though was like, you're good at singing and like you have this way of like expressing your emotions, like ENFJ divas who are talented, like Adele and stuff. I don't know. The fact that you like are like, oh yeah, I did music and theater. I'm like, of course you did. You're an ENFJ. You're born to perform in some
I was
way.
born for the stage. I was born to be watched.
I'm like, please keep the stage away from me. It's how
I was born to have an audience.
Even the accent, correct? Yeah, I can't do the accent. Okay, so how are you different than stereotype?
I had to do a hair flip.
Like, I feel like you're like not afraid to get deep with your TI into, but why? Like the pretentious ways that a lot of people with TE tend to be, like with like, well, you're not changing my mind. You're not afraid to argue, but like you're getting better at like staying calm. I feel like EFJs in general can get worked up very easily at times, and like I know that you used to like be kind of, if you were emotional, you didn't know how to like explain linearly what you were reacting to, what you were thinking. But I do think that you're way better at that now, because now you can just say a few words. I'm like, oh, okay. When before it was like, we have to hash this whole thing out because we don't use the other person's functions, blah blah blah, and like stuff like that.
Yeah. And Crystal's different than the stereotype of ENFP, is that Crystal very, very much values intellect and does her homework and really cares about looking smart. And I mean, we've had people that we both know like think that she was an ENTJ, which I think is ridiculous. Yeah, but like sometimes she gets in this sort of mood where she just is like asking people questions, like the hard questions. Like she's not afraid to ask people the hard questions, and she's very bold, and she's just very smart and not afraid to really argue with people. And I think that a lot of times ENFPs sometimes are stereotyped as being pushovers or being
Oh my god, I hate that about
pleasers.
ENFPs.
And that's definitely true of some ENFPs I know. I mean, Crystal, she just doesn't care what people think about her. And I know that a lot of ENFPs actually are like that, but if you read the description of ENFP, it doesn't necessarily say that. So just to clarify, it's like Crystal is not like a special ENFP for not caring what people think about her. A lot of ENFPs are that way. But I still think that the stereotype makes it look like ENFPs are these like lost puppies that want to please everyone and don't know who they are.
I have fought my whole life against to like not fit. I also
Really?
haven't. Oh yeah, back to my I have never dated anyone like thing. I like really haven't seriously dated that many people, and I am afraid of codependent relationships and have altogether avoided getting romantically involved in the name of my career, which seems to be more of a stereotypical TJ move. And yeah,
she's just very fiercely independent and like marches to the beat of her own drum, which is, I guess, kind of a stereotype of ENFPs, but very intellectual and will challenge people if they disagree, if she disagrees, which I think that is very hard for an ENFP to do, is to challenge someone's opinion.
Yeah, I'll be like, are you done being rude now? Like, to the stranger. And everyone's like, oh shit, Crystal's dishing it. And I'm like, ha, I'm dishing it. Ha. Yeah, Meghan is also in her ENF way unafraid to, quote, dish it. She understands that, like, pretending to, like, let things go that aren't actually okay to her inner TI, FI, what have you, is unsustainable. And she isn't afraid to, I guess, potentially cause conflict, even though her FE hates that. She's all like, TI, for the greater good, I must. Or something.
Yeah. Okay, so what is something that annoys you the most about the other person? Just try and limit it to a couple things.
Well, see, like, even though it might seem like a list, they're all like connected in my head. And I think the biggest thing is just like my beef with FJs in general is you can appear clingy when you're not. And like if someone just tells you with TE to not do something, you'll have to know why. And as someone with like weak TI, I never know how to like quite explain to you why or why not and like out argue. So I guess it's like me accusing you of being clingy, but you being totally okay with it. I think it's clingy, but that like it's still illogical how I'm reacting. I don't know. I guess like I don't like it because I feel outsmarted and slightly invalidated, even though I know that's not the intention or truly what's going on. But it like leaves me in like a hard place to like not know what to do. So I wouldn't even be able to say it's objectively clingy, but it's like it comes off that way to me, and I don't really know how to like handle it when I do feel that way.
I think maybe we should maybe give a few examples of this, but we could go back and forth because I think this is interesting. Something that is annoying about Crystal is when she says she's going to do something or says she values something, but then either changes her mind or doesn't do it. And sometimes it seems inauthentic to me. I think it's just like not being as in touch with your NI. And
like,
also
like constantly, yeah,
because I think sometimes, I mean, like you said the other day, she's like, I'm done with journalism, I am, and then like 2 days later you were like applying for more journalism jobs. Like it just makes it hard for me to like know like what you're really about or where you're coming from when it seems like you're constantly changing, and
which is interesting because I feel like I always see SE as constantly changing. It seems like SE users, so not just you, but like an SP maybe, or even SJ, like sees NE as like inconsistent because you're not following the SI, why I even thought that to begin with, or how seriously I thought that and stuff.
So yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to think of what annoys me when you haven't annoyed me lately because I think that we are communicating better. But
and that was like 2 weeks ago. Things have changed. We're different.
Yeah, really. But here's something kind of annoying is that when I go out to eat with her, she takes...
Oh yeah, it's taking for everything.
She takes about 2 hours to finish eating because like she'll sit down and order food, like way too much food for what she actually can eat because she's very tiny. And then she'll just be like, oh my god, I was thinking about this theory and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, are you going to eat? Because like, I gotta go. And then she's like, what else is annoying is like, Then you'll take home the food as a leftover, and I'm like, you're not going to actually eat that as a leftover. Like, she doesn't actually eat her leftovers. So, I mean, they're just like little things like that seem inefficient to me that are annoying sometimes.
Dude, this is also the kind of thing that like all my TI user family members always get on me for. And so if Megan says this too much, I also feel attacked when she's like, well, I mean, it's how you are, so just own it. I'm like, I can't because I want to change. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I guess like it's not even. I think cleanness annoys me specifically because it manifests as nagginess. Like if someone if an FP was clingy, I'd be like annoyed. But like when an FJ is quote clingy, they actually have like a reasoning, and it like usually like.
I just think she is bad at receiving love and blames me for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because I have love to give doesn't mean.
I'm reminded of how much I suck at receiving love, and FE is the epitome of giving love. My FI is like, I love you, and I'll like stay a safe distance away. Like I haven't talked to my crush in like months, so like I'm like, yeah, like I love you. Please remember that like 3 years from now when I come for you.
You're lucky that like and one of the best friend tags that I saw, it was like, who is their crush? I mean, you're lucky that I took that out.
Yeah, no, like
because we're not going to talk about that. What do you admire the most about the other person?
Ooh, can I go? Okay. So anyways, I really like how courageous Megan is and how she's not afraid to ask for what she deserves and how she actually seems to know at times what she deserves. That's not something I'm good at gauging. I'm like, but everyone deserves to be happy and have a job and have a boyfriend. So why am I more qualified to deserve this specific job or this specific boyfriend and stuff? And like Megan just doesn't seem to ever be confused about that kind of thing and like never seems to be that self-conscious about like how she is, because her TA is like, yeah, like this is how it works, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like constantly like not knowing what my identity is or should be. And I think Megan has a strong sense of self in that sense, so I really admire that.
Thanks. I admire Crystal's ability to process her emotions and how she could really be honest with herself and let herself be weak in moments of like trauma. She will, I mean, act like a baby, but like in the comfort of her own home and in her own space, let herself and actually like let herself feel, and she's not afraid to feel. And also I admire how no matter how depressed you might be at certain moments, you seem to always just have faith in the universe and that good things are coming, and that like if something bad happens, like what goes up must come down, what's within is without, like sort of like this sort of balance about the universe. And like, oh, things are hard now, but that only means that they're going to be easier some other time. Like you seem to really get that and have faith in that, when I don't always think that. So
yeah, I think for me it's also like my bad SE, because like if bad things actually happen, I'm like, cool, like we're good, like I can get through this. But like if nothing's happening, I'll be like, my brain just like goes off into nowhere. Like right now I'm playing for jobs. I'm like, what if nobody ever gave me a job? But if I knew for sure that no one ever would, I would recover from it. But not knowing either way is what's hard.
Yeah, I mean, every time something bad's happened to me, she immediately responds with like oh, you're supposed to learn this lesson that will help you in this way in 10 years or something. Like she said to me once, she was like, oh, I think you're really supposed to understand heartbreak and pain if you want to be a loving person that heals the world with your understanding of how love works. I think that you need to feel that pain, or else you aren't even going to know what you're talking about when you're trying to heal. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, but like give me nothing to work with and I'll be like, wow, the sun just might not even like rise tomorrow. You never know.
So annoying when you say that. Of course.
Yeah, like it's like all my SE users and TI user friends are like, no, it's probably gonna rise though. And I'm like, have you seen The Big Short? I am Michael Scott. No, sorry, Steve Carell. Yeah, I am that guy. That is
another question that I had a little bit lower down, but we're already sort of talking about it now, is what is something that this other type has faith in that like your type doesn't? Like ENFJs and ENFPs like have faith in the world like in different ways.
Yeah, like ENFJs really like through TI see how things are merit based, and like they really believe in the
I think I believe that all people are good people and that they're just either responding out of fear or out of confidence in themselves. And whenever people do bad things, it's just because of fear. It's not because they're actually being malicious.
yeah, I feel like ENFJs are better at like persevering and like believing in free will essentially. Like they're like, if I work to do something, something is gonna happen. And I'm like, what if my whole oh my god, my cat. What if
I
my
just saw
whole
your
like
cat, yeah.
what if I don't even exist, blah blah blah, and nothing I do impacts the real world? And ENFJ is like, no, it impacts the world in some way. We just might not always know how, but it does. And I'm like, are you sure I'm not just a brain in a vat? And I know that
I was
frustrates
gonna say that. Oh my god. I feel like ENFPs must have.
Tell me about that class.
No, that's too much of a tangent. We need to get through this. Sorry. I feel like ENFPs must always have moments. Tell me if this is true, but do you have moments where you're like, "Whoa, I'm a body. Whoa, where am I?
Yeah,
Whoa,
that's like
is
usually
this
what happens
life?"
after I have sex. Just kidding.
No, but I
Um,
feel like ENFPs, I mean, I have moments like that a lot, and I feel like I used to have moments like that in childhood. Just sort of being like, I'm Megan. I'm a human. I'm in this world. Like, kind of like trying to understand. I feel like ENFPs have that all the time, and they are never like truly connected with. Like, so many people who have stronger SE are like, yeah, I'm a human. That's just how it is. Yeah, you know?
yeah. I'll like have that like randomly hit me and then everything will make sense all of a sudden. It's like literally like just randomly my brain will like trip acid without there being acid. I'm like, that's why, Eureka! And then like the light bulb will just dim back out. I'll be like, I don't actually know if I'm a body.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to add on that front?
I think ENFJs don't get distracted. Like this cat coming to my room is really tripping me up, and I don't think Megan has the same like weird attention span thing that NE does. Like I like being creative, but I'm also like really easily I can like just get off track, and I think that J's
Yeah.
think it's weird. They think
That's
it's cute
why-
sometimes, and I think it's annoying other times.
NJs are like visionaries and innovators, where NPs are like ideators. Like, you can't stay on one idea for long enough, honestly, to implement it as your new vision. Because there's
Yeah,
too
so
many
I
ideas.
have to have a J in my life being like, hey, let's look over here again, like what you were saying like 5 seconds ago. 'cause
Speaking
you're
of,
not anymore.
speaking
I'd
of
be like,
that,
oh, yeah, you're right.
speaking of that, I have a question.
What?
Sorry. What is the biggest similarity between you two?
Oh God, I don't even. It's like at this point, my T has gathered so much information about how we're different, just like through living life together, that like I don't even think about like our similarities anymore.
Okay, well then I can answer the similarity and you can answer the question about differences.
Okay.
I think the way I describe ENFP and ENFJ is that they are two people from complete opposite cognitive patterns, complete opposite perspective, but their goals are similar enough that they often meet in the middle at the same spot. And so I think that the similar thing is that the world sees us the same. They see us as an extroverted, intuitive, feeling girl that has a lot of feelings and a lot of project ideas and a lot of passion and a lot of creativity.
Shout out to like all the ENFJs who think they're ENFPs because
a lot of them think that they are.
Oh my God.
But
I'm
anyway,
like, no, I'm cognitively more like an ESTJ, but I look like an ENFJ.
Well, we don't look, but it's like I think that the world positions us the same, and so we have similar social conditioning. We have similar activities. We have similar situations that happen. I think that we are both very similar in the sense that we are always going to stay true to ourselves, and we're always going to be a little bit dramatic, and we're always. But I think the thing about you, Crystal, not as just an ENFP, but as you, Crystal, that I think we're alike on is your constant need to self-transform and to be better, and your constant need for growth. That is, I think, maybe our biggest similarity, and our obsession over how people work.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're different because, well, I think our social conditioning is slightly different because our families are so different too. Like I grew up really believing you have to do to deserve things, you know, and even then, like you're never entitled to anything. So sometimes I may misperceive you, especially if I'm feeling like pretty low someday, like about feeling like you acting to me like you're entitled to things, whether or not they like affect me or whatever. But at the same time, it also seems like you have more of an idea that certain people deserve certain things more, and I like feel uncomfortable when I try to think about life like that. So I think it's also like
at the same time you think of things in hierarchies in ways that I don't.
That's true. Can you give an example? I can't think of any.
I mean, there's been times when I'd be like, I don't understand. I feel like I don't get along with these people, and you would say things like, well, you're better than them. You're just more evolved than them, and I can't accept that. I'm like, no, like I'm not better than anyone. What are you talking about? Like ENFPs seem to like. I think it's because like internally you're like STJs, like you're just more comfortable with hierarchy. I don't know, like, but you don't. It doesn't for some reason when ENFPs say that, you aren't trying to insinuate that I'm better than anyone or that people are better than anyone. You just seem more comfortable with hierarchy, like as a thing.
TE in general seems to view society as like organized differently than FE. Like FE is like I guess like it seems like individually FE and TI users look at like your individual merits and like the cause and effects of those, and TE thinks of like in general like how things should be organized like hierarchically. Like I guess like I don't even know how to quite flesh this out, but I feel like I think of society in a hierarchy, but on an individual basis I am just one more person in the capitalist cog of society or something, and my dream is to be exploited just like everyone else, or like some shit. I don't
understand that. But gosh, what was I saying? It seems like ENFPs find the phrase helpful. It's lonely up top. Like I feel like ENFPs find that helpful. Well, that doesn't help me. It makes me not want to be on top, and it makes me be like, how do you know that I'm on top? I might be at the bottom. It's probably lonely at the bottom too.
You know, no, like, I guess I just think like if I'm feeling lonely, then it's a sign that I'm like growing, because FI would only get uncomfortable if you're like rising or something. Like if you, I just like fundamentally like believe that, because I feel like a lot of times when people are falling or letting themselves go, they're like okay with that and almost complacent in a way. And if they aren't okay with that, they'll be like back, like shooting back up anyway, because that's why I don't know. I associate discomfort with getting things you deserve or something, and I fear subconsciously that doesn't actually work. Like my introverted thinking is afraid of that, but my extroverted thinking really strongly believes that.
Yeah, what else do you think is our differences in terms of?
I just really see like how we're confident in completely different ways, and how we navigate relationships in different ways too.
I feel like I'm confident about who I am, but I'm not confident about like what's going on.
Oh,
like, what situation am I even in?
But I'm like, I know what's going on. And I also think that like FE users, it seems needy only to really me, I guess, or sorry, like
a lot of people.
But FE users and like just in general, they have this kind of like they really value emotional actions. So I think the biggest thing is like you value like, hey, like if I'm friends with this person, I'm going to talk to them all the time, versus my FI is like, well, if I really love someone, it's because we've been through so much together that we have just gone so deep that we'll always be there for each other, even if we're not always talking all the time. And I don't think FE puts as much stock in this like theoretical you matter kind of thing, because you know I have friends who
if you matter, then you act like you matter.
Yeah, I think this also comes to like self-worth. Like it seems like EFJs really are like, well, if you say you're so confident, then why don't you act like you're confident? Like to me, when I like act inconsistent or something as an EFP.
Well, I think that you shouldn't have to stay best friends with everyone all the time. Like obviously people grow apart, but I think that what ENFPs don't realize is how much your actions speaks for itself, and how your character is defined by your action. And you can't say someone's your best friend and then not talk to them for months. Like that would mean like that's an old dear friend of mine. That's not a best friend. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean that you hate them, but it's true that you don't really care about seeing them anymore. You know?
That makes sense, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you can't see everyone, you can't talk to everyone all the time. And I think
I
that
think
in different
that people
stages
like
of
to
life, you
believe that
need
they
different things.
can because there's room in their FI
Mhm.
for everybody, but that's not true. Because I guess I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my god, everyone's like my best friend. But that's because I like don't think about it like I just get along with everyone, like, but I'm not actually close to everyone. But like, I just have no problem asking people like, or like, I don't know, like empathizing with someone who's going through a hard time, even if we're not close, or even if I haven't talked to them for a while, or like asking someone to like hang out, even if we don't talk. Like, I just like don't think
Yeah.
about those years.
I think that ENFJs are probably better at really understanding realistically, like, if I should be putting energy into this thing and what will I be getting out of it. Where
Yeah,
ENFPs just
Jays
like they love everyone and
yeah, Jays are really intentional about their energy and like what's worth it to them and what's not. And I'm like just so like, whoa, just throw my feelers out everywhere. And then if they all come back, it's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like,
So hey, what makes you the most angry about the other person? I have mine already. So I can go if you want, unless you want to go.
God, like, what, I don't even know, like, I can only explain the, like, outline or formula for how to piss me off. It's just, like,
Okay.
in TE, like, if I, like, say something, having to feel like I have to defend myself about it, especially if it's, like, regarding, like, my, like, emotional boundary at the moment, or, like, not having faith in, like, I guess, essentially, maybe the SINT I take for granted. I don't really know how to get specific here.
Well, what pisses me off about you that has made me angry in the past is sort of the belief, and it sometimes is just oozing off of you, like when you've had enough. Just that belief where you're like, I don't owe you anything. And what's annoying to me about that is that in those situations, I never said I owed you anything, but I don't understand why someone wouldn't want to be there for me. And I'm never asking. And what bugs me, or what makes me angry about you, is that I wish that you would communicate your boundaries and say, like, I want to be there for you, but I can't. But it's almost like the FI of not wanting to be there for you that pisses me off. Because ENFJs and ESFJs, like, their thing is that they always want to be there for you, but they can't always. Like, for example, like my mom, like, I don't live with my parents anymore. And so sometimes, like, if I'm stressed out, especially when I was in college, if I was stressed out, my mom would be like, oh, like, I wish I could be there for you. If I was there, I would make you lunch, or I would whatever. And it's like the thought that counts. And I think that sometimes whenever you're tapped out energetically, you sort of get mad at me like, hey, well, I don't owe you anything. And even if you don't say it that rudely, like, that's like how it feels. And it just sort of feels like a get off my back, I don't owe you anything. When I just wish that you would explain, hey, like, I would love to help you. Obviously, you know that, which I think that you think it's like a given, that like you want me to be happy. but it's sort of just like that's, I can see you snap. I can like see your FI snap where your FI doesn't want to help me. And that's whenever I get really angry. And that's when I think like you're acting like a bitch.
Every FE user, like not even just you, but like I feel like my mom and every like FJ I'm close to some extent like thinks or does that, where it's like they won't like say like you never said I owe you anything, but like it's almost like it feels to me like in the TE that like if I don't have the energy right now and I say like, hey, I can't right now, it should be assumed that I just don't have the energy right now to even like say like, oh, I want to be there for you, because it feels fake to like try to say I want to be there for you, but it's obvious that I'm not going to be. Like, I don't understand how the wording of that necessarily like changes the situation. But
I also think that ENFJs and also ESFJs are so independent, even if they don't seem that way, that it's like insulting for someone to insinuate that they were asking for something, because we don't ask. We don't need it, and in our little inferior TI, we don't think that we need any help.
Yeah, but like at the same time, not you specifically, but like some FE users I know, like they like I don't even know how to explain it, because it is different than when FPs are needy. Like, I will say that's the only reason why I started processing that EFJs don't really need anything. It's different than when an FI user comes to me being like whiny or like gets like mad or something, like FJs are reacting to a different picture than an FP would.
I think
But
the
I'm
problem is that FJs don't always consider their own needs, and so they might be like subconsciously leeching without realizing it because they don't acknowledge their own needs as like valid sometimes.
Yeah. And I guess like I have trouble, what annoys me most is I have trouble trusting, and it's gotten better recently, but I used to have a lot of trouble trusting that you had like literally tried to like be there for yourself. But it also took me a long time to realize that FJs don't think about themselves in the way like an FP would. Like I always know with TE what my FI is reacting to and what ideally I would need from someone to feel better, but I almost feel like FE is like, just be around. And I'm like, well, no, like I have to have something to literally do for someone to command me to do before I'm going to be able to comfort you. I just get uncomfortable with like when FE users are feeling vulnerable in general because they can get kind of snappy, and I don't really like dealing with that.
Yeah.
So it's not even just you. Like I have a couple TP friends who are also like insufferable.
So
and
wait, is that what makes you the angriest? Is whenever I'm snappy, or
yeah, like I'll be like, whoa, like so ungrateful, blah blah blah. Which I know is like totally dumb to like expect someone to be grateful even when they're like having a hard time.
I mean, you're right. I'm not as grateful as you are about things. So
wait, is it like? Oh, I guess like maybe like I take for granted that I'm always grateful. So even when I'm having a hard time, I am still technically grateful because like I don't think about it in that way. But if I think
when I'm
about
having a hard time, I'm not grateful for anything. I'm like, how did I get myself here? I must get out immediately. So,
oh my god, it's like funny, like the minute you said it like that, I'm like, oh shit, that is how you are. Like I've never thought of like how that is how FEs react to conflict. I'll be like, oh, I know exactly how I got here, and I'll get out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's like my SFI is like, oh, I can see at that point that is what went wrong. It's like if this was a sitcom, it's like a montage, flashback, and then like circle it with like a red Snapchat filter. Yep, right there. And I'll be like, I'm just waiting for the emotion to pass, which is why I like. Oh yeah, you also hate how I never ask for help, even when it's clear I need it, and then I'm just like, no, don't talk to me. Blah, blah, blah.
I'm not. Well, I'm bad at asking for help, but I feel like you just don't vent about things, even if you do need to get something off your chest.
Oh my god, yeah, users are so good at venting. I always know why they're like upset. I like with an FI user, I'll be like, you seem like you're upset by something. And they'll be like, yeah. And we'll be like, okay. And then FE is like, so this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. I'm like, whoa.
And she's also like gotten mad at me before for like, gosh, I forget what I was gonna say. I hate when I do this. She'll get mad at me because she'll think like, well, you weren't curious about it. You didn't ask me a question, so obviously you didn't care. But that's the thing, is that ENFJs, they don't do that as much. It's like ENFPs are always like, what if this, what if that, what if that? And so if an ENFP is not asking you questions about you, then they don't care about you. But like for me, that's not always like my thing, I think. But
yeah, like, you're not like able to on the spot and just have a question or something.
But like still, I think you'll like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you'll get mad whenever you maybe didn't explain what your feelings were, but you like would have expected that I would have cared enough to ask, right?
Yeah. I also think if I think about it, like maybe it's a TE thing, because I guess like I feel like my dad who's an ESFP and my people I've liked before who are TJs seem to be better at asking. Even like really mean like ENTJ professors are like, what happened? What's up? You look weird right now, blah blah blah. And I think a lot of FE users just don't ask. So it's like the way I stop being mad at you is I just think about how everyone else who shares your functions also has this problem and get back into the objective looking at it as opposed to the subjective. My FI is so mad right now, but it's okay because there's a whole category of people who are like that, so it's reasonable. Okay, I feel better now. Like that kind of thing. That's what stops me out of being mad. But at the time, like, why is it so hard to communicate with betas? Or sorry, ENFJ, ESTP, ISTP, like people who are different.
I want to try and spend only about 5 minutes left. So let's try and do some rapid fire questions. I'm sorry. I appreciate all of the detail that you're going into. I just had too many questions probably. We're probably going to have to just make more videos like this. If there's any topic that you guys watching really enjoyed and want to know more about and want us to explain more about, then go ahead and ask. But I'm gonna try and let's try and see if we can stick to one sentence. Is that too much to ask?
If you impose a TE rule,
okay.
then it's
All right.
doable.
Let's try and stick to one sentence. Okay. What is one of the most and we kind of talked about this. What is one of the most common miscommunications that happens between the two of you?
Oh God. You're being clingy and you're being a bitch.
I'd agree. I would say she answered that one. Okay, so here's just some more fun questions. If your best friend is single, we both are, describe their dream partner.
Oh God. Some kind of TP who has good enough FI to be able to communicate what they really believe in, but still has this curious driven logic about how people work and how emotions work,
and who's not a dick. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that isn't condescending, isn't ego driven, really is curious about how the world works and wants to make it a better place, and has demonstrably proven that through their career, through their past relationships, is overall emotionally healthy and not just doing things for show.
She gets me. She's right. Okay, and for Crystal, she needs someone, which, I mean, she's probably going to end up with a TJ, let's be real. But okay, aside from type, she needs someone that will hold her down and ground her in reality, and also be stable and comforting, because Crystal kind of forgets about her own comfort a lot and is always doing things to make her feel uncomfortable and grow. I think that she needs someone who will provide comfort and love her unconditionally and always be there, but not expect her to really give anything in return. So she needs a saint, basically.
Or whose FE doesn't expect shit from me or him.
Yeah, you need someone who thinks that you just existing is the greatest gift and greatest inspiration.
That's literally how TE thinks of their people that they love. Just the fact that you exist inspires me.
How would you describe your best friend's dream job?
Oh God. Someone some capacity in which you aren't being commanded by people who don't know what they're talking about, where you get to communicate and really see an impact you're making on people's lives, and you're really helping them, and you're telling truths that will shake society up, and maybe something that's more multimedia and presentation oriented than writing and editing oriented. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
So Crystal's dream job is going to involve writing of some sort. I feel like you are getting more called to share your personal life more than maybe you would have guessed. I wouldn't be surprised if you had to start doing more personal narrative-driven things. Definitely narrative-driven. I can also see you writing about Asian American issues because you know a lot about that. And I know, because, okay, with both of these issues, I would say that talking about yourself and talking about Asian American issues are things that make you feel a little uncomfortable, but your FI cares so much about, and you have so much to say about, because you think about it a lot. You think about yourself, and you think about being Asian American.
Oh my God.
And so I think that for you, eventually in your dream job and your career, you're going to go from doing traditional journalism and start to really play bigger and play into what your FI wants and take those risks. Because I think it's risky for you to talk about yourself as personally. And it's kind of risky. And I don't know if you realize that your Asian American newsletter, your email newsletter, I think that one of the biggest reasons why you don't do that as often is because there is a fear there, because you care about it so much.
Yeah, because fear is procrastination disguised. Procrastination is fear disguised.
I think that's a big ENFP thing, and definitely a you thing, where they have such big ideas and big potential, but that is directly correlated with fear, and kind of ends up doing surrounding things that aren't quite hitting the nail on the head of what you're meant to do.
Yeah, it's why I like never talk to boys I like, and why I never apply for jobs I actually feel like I'd want to do, but don't feel qualified for whatever reason.
All right, I have two more questions. One is, does your friend have an expression or phrase that they say often?
Oh God, let me think. Uh, well, fuck, I like can't imitate you right now. I'm usually so good at it.
Okay, well,
Well,
Chris,
here's the deal.
Crystal,
Like this is like an affectation. Like I was talking, like you'll like emphasize the talking. Like if you were talking to someone recently, what else do you do? Hey guys, I did a YouTube video. So yeah,
oh, I always do say so.
scratch your face when you're like about to like say something that you're not that sure of because your SI doesn't quite know, but like it's cute. Don't
I
worry.
scratch my face.
A
No,
little
you
bit.
just
Like
saying
it's
that
like
is
if you're in
making
the
me
car,
itchy.
it's like no, you'll be like this. Like if you're in the car or like I don't know. It's like weird. It's only in the car though. Like your car videos. The other normal videos, you don't do that. I have no clue why. Like,
That's
is the
weird.
air weird in your car? I don't know.
Crystal always does this where she'll be like, "Yeah, I'm
I do
yeah."
like something
She'll be like, "Yeah, I applied for a job." Ha ha. And I'm like, "What's funny?" And it's like, she wasn't laughing, but like she's saying "ha ha" for some reason, and she does these weird like deflecting things like "LOL" whenever like she's nervous.
Oh yeah, don't forget the eye roll.
Yeah, she eye rolls a lot. Okay, the last question is, if your friend could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh God, I don't know. Well, I don't know what superpower you'd want. Let me think.
I
Oh,
feel like
you
you
want
want
Wonder
everyone.
Woman, Wonder Woman's lasso of truth.
Yes. I compel you to tell me the truth. Yep. I feel like you want every superpower, which is like kind of weird. I'm having a hard time deciding between reading minds and no, you're not that. You want to like space shift and like be at any place at any time.
Okay, that's close.
Oh
If you
gosh,
do
what is
Stranger
it?
Things or are a fan of X-Men, Scarlet Witch, or like Jean Grey, I really like telekineticism, and I think it's a subconscious manifestation of my bad SE. Because literally, like you can draw an object to you or like bend metal and like shit like that. I think that's so cool. I want to like affect reality and gravity in that way. It's kind of a niche thing. It's because of my bad SE.
Okay, do you want to do a couple more questions? I realized I was supposed to meet a friend, but she just canceled, and so I do have more questions. Do you want?
Okay, do two more.
Okay. Uh, what's okay? Actually, I feel like that might be a good way to end it.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry for getting your hopes up, gang.
It's okay. I'll get over it.
Actually, let's just say one more. Sorry. What's your favorite thing to do together?
Oh God.
I think that we literally just will sit and talk literally
Yeah,
anywhere. Any place that's free.
I don't like do things. I like just drag people to coffee shops and talk to me for hours.
Yeah.
I drag them. I'm like, yo, like we're doing this, and you're like, all right.
We used to hang out at McDonald's all the time at college.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't like baking things or making videos or like walking. I'm just like, let's sit and talk and oh wait, it's been 5 hours.
She's very intense. She'll just be like, tell me everything about you.
And then if someone's ever said no, I'll be like, okay, let's talk about something else then. So either way, you're stuck talking to me. I used to think everyone I met was like an ENFP because they would seem kind of outgoing and seem like they were using an ENFI. And I realized it was because of me, and I was like forcing them by like asking them questions that were NE and FI. So yeah, it was jarring to realize how different you are when I'm not around. But yeah.
Okay, so everyone watching this, please comment your questions about either like someone that you're not sure if they're an ENFJ or an ENFP, or any questions about the differences between the two.
We'll figure it out.
And we're gonna start regularly doing videos together like this. I don't know, like, let me know. Like, did you just think interacting, just watching us interact was cool? Because we could talk about something completely random that is not this. Like,
Yeah, if you have any topic requests, feel free to comment below. I say as if I know you guys, but I don't, but whatever.
yeah, I'll also link below. Crystal recently did a video about her views on FE and how they
Yeah.
are her worst
You can
enemy and her
obviously
best
tell-
friend.
You can obviously tell that I have a lot of feelings about FE, and that, like, are for better or for worse. So watch that video if you want to know more of my unfiltered, well, I guess I'm always unfiltered, my monologue of a perspective.
Yeah, and like a lot of our conversations that we have are weirdly like mixing spiritual beliefs and astrology and Myers-Briggs and just like using all this weird terminology that I feel almost like we're speaking a different language, like when we're talking to each other. It's,
Honestly, I've kind of forgot that they were there just now because it just felt like, oh, look, you're asking me the questions that I deserve.
the questions that I deserve.
Like I have gotten the ice cream I deserve. It's okay, never mind.
Okay, well, let's say bye to the guests. I'll stop recording and all right. Bye.
Viewers, audience.